for watching. Today I'll be creating a layout using the Stay Magical paper pad from Michaels. It's one of those hot buy offers that come with 48 sheets. And these are two of the papers in that collection. The reason why I picked this pad is because her little dress had unicorns, and this paper pad is like all unicorns and mermaids, and I thought it would fit perfectly. So I do struggle a little bit with all these lines and stripes and colors, but in the end I absolutely love how it turned out. At first I was trying to use this other rainbow paper as a background, but it was just too much going on. So I quickly put that aside, and I'm going to work on getting this portion of my layout figured out. So I just wanted to say, if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and click on the bell indicator to be notified once new content is posted. I try to post content twice a week, Tuesdays and Fridays, and sometimes when I have a chance, I do add bonus videos on other days of the week. So far this is what my page is looking like. I do end up turning my paper and make it, instead of vertical, I will make it horizontal. And I will be using a piece of white cardstock as my background. I figured I had so much going on that a plain white cardstock would help make you focus on the center of the page instead of like all over the place. The striped paper that you see there, the little strips, those are actually holographic and they're just adorable. So I wanted to use it somehow on here, so I cut those thin strips, and I am going to be gluing everything down just to make life easier, because I know that it's going to be focused in the middle of my page. So I'm going to use my Tim Holtz mat to center it so that I have this equal amount of space on each side of my rainbow paper. Now I'm just going to adhere these thin strips, which I believe were 1/4 inch thick, and I am going to adhere it to each side. It's just slightly under the rainbow paper. And I'm just looking at the direction of the stripes so that it's not too annoying to the eye. So now I noticed that I really love how that looks, and I'm going to use my scallop border, and I had 5 pictures. I end up only using 3 because 2 of the pictures, one she was wearing sunglasses and the other one was outside, and I just felt like it wasn't well, first I didn't have the space for it. I think it would have been too much going on, and secondly, I really want to use the ones with the sunglasses on a different layout. So I'm going to use scallop, and this is the scallop 1B to cut a I guess a border for basically I'm going to use it kind of, I guess the best way to explain it is as a shelf, and everything is going to be above my scallops, above my shelf. I don't know if that makes sense, but I kind of like, that's the only way I can think of explaining it. So this page isn't too Kiwi Lane heavy. I think because there was so much going on with the paper and the colors, and it was so vibrant, I didn't want to overdo it with the different shapes and the different templates. So I felt that using just the scallops was enough to tie everything in together, and I also end up using Charmed, and I am really happy with the way it turned out. So I just want to mention that I am at 480 subscribers. That means I'm 20 subscribers away from giving away my $50 Kiwi Lane gift card, which probably I was really hoping it would happen by the end of April, but I'm like hoping that it will be I'll be at that 500 subscriber by the end of hopefully next week. So if you haven't shared my video, I'd really love it if you'd share it with a friend, or share it on your Facebook page. That would be really cool, and I would really appreciate it. So this cut apart sheet came in the paper pad, and it had really cute little sayings. It even had a little, like a check, like a to-do list with little, you can check off. And I will be using that "You Are Something Wonderful" that you see there on the left, and I'm going to turn it into a tag. And I thought I was going to use these little unicorn heads, but I end up not using them. I saved them for another layout, which will probably go on page 2, which would be with the other 2 pictures. So at this point, I'm looking for something else, and I see these adorable unicorns, and I'm like, yep, I'm using them. And then I put them down, and it was just way too much. But I do end up using the unicorn heads and the rainbows that you see right above what I'm cutting out. So I also saved that little border for something else. And see, now it doesn't look horrible. But I really wanted to use the rainbow paper because it was just so cute. So yep, there I go. I picked, and I actually don't cut them apart. I leave them together. So now here I'm trying to figure it out, and I still have my paper vertically, and in about a minute I am going to flip it on its side, because I just felt like there was just so much going on at the bottom half of the picture, and then the top half was going to be very plain. So that's when I decide that, yep, we're going to flip this. And I always take a picture of my layout just to see if I like what it looks like. And at this point is when I flipped it on its side, glued actually didn't even flip it on its side. All I had to do was turn it. Now I'm going to be using this adorable paper as a photo mat, and I'm going to mat all 3 of my pictures together. And the middle picture, which is the one that she's blowing kisses, I want to pop up because I want it to be more of the main focus or the main attention of this layout. So now at this point, I'm just going to use my scissors, and I'm going to eyeball it, and I'm going to cut a rectangle out of the paper. And I notice that it's a little off, so I'm just going to go in there and take a slither off the one side. And you'll see how quickly this page is going to come together. I also want to add that I do end up using a Dewdrop pigment ink and Brilliance, and it's called Starlight Silver. It's a little dried out, so it really didn't give it the metallic look that I was looking for. But I've had that probably for 10 years, so I'm surprised it even worked. So I just ink my edges with this silver and, hope for the best. I will adhere everything down, and I'm using my ATG gun. And I'm going to add my pictures right there to the top, and I'm going to overlap it just a little and slide it over a little to the left. At first I was trying to look for a template that I could use to maybe give it a little shape, but that one wasn't wide enough. So I just decided to use my little hole puncher and punch a little hole at the top to make it into a tag. And you can use any hole puncher. I believe this was probably from my kids when they were in school. Probably from the dollar section of like Staples, or I don't know. It's been around for a very long time. I end up using the yellow and white baker's twine that we got in the April kit. It was the perfect yellow color, and I fed it through my tag just like if it was a tag, and then I made a bow out of it. I'm going to pop this up with some fun foam. And then right before I push it down, I realized that I have not glued my pictures down, so I'm going to do that real quick. So when I'm thinking, I tend to bang my nails into my desk. I don't know. I guess it helps me think quicker. So I decided to fussy cut one of these little unicorns. I was about to call it a zebra. Unicorns from one of the pieces of paper, but I end up not using it because, to my surprise, I found a package of ephemera that I had in a drawer, and it was from one of the Chamel Lane kits or collections that had zebras in it. So, I mean, not zebras, I'm sorry, unicorns. So I ended up really using a few of the ephemeras from that ephemera pack. And I think I'm just looking through it now. I'm looking through my sticker books. I wanted to use one of these little pom-poms, and for whatever reason that one wasn't really like centered right, the little center part of it. So the one side was a little wider than the other, so I just trimmed it down a little bit, and just trying to figure out where it's going to go. And as I'm strifling along here, I do end up stamping on my layout, and I really am excited about that because I have about 300 sets of stamps, and I've never really been a stamper, but I really love collecting stamps. So I really wanted to use some of them, and I did find one that I liked and I figured would work, and so I added some stars to the layout, and you'll see me do that shortly. So I'm going through this Chamel sticker book, and I'm just adding some of the stickers, and that one that I just placed, that's Sparkle, and that's just that's half of a note, like a journaling sticker. I had used the top part of it, so now I'm using the bottom part, and it actually has a cute little zebra, unicorn. I keep calling them zebras. A unicorn on it. And then I saw this whole page of unicorns, but I don't know, they look different from the paper, so I didn't want to really use it, so I'm gonna hold off on it. I take this circle sticker that has a unicorn on it, and I'm gonna stick it on a piece of scrap white paper, but I don't end up using it. Actually, it wasn't. I used the back of the pattern paper. I end up not using it, and here I found the ephemera pack that I was mentioning, and I love this rainbow, so the rainbow's going in there, and I'm just trying to figure out where it's going to go, and I end up pulling up the stickers because I never really pushed them down on the paper, so they were just lightly stuck down, and they're going to go right there. And also the unicorn and this little camera that I do end up using are like holographic and super cute, so I wanted to add both of those on there. So this has a mix of both holographic and just regular die cuts. So I'm really liking how that's looking right now with the snap and the unicorn on the left and the other unicorn on the right. I don't really see anything else that catches my eye. So I do end up moving my little tassel around a little bit, and at first I was like, oh, I got yellow, and I got yellow and white, and then I got a blue one. But in the end, I do like the way it looks, and I keep it on there. More is more, right? So then I wanted to use the Charmed. I've used this so many times. I really, really love this little file tab. So I was trying to look and see what I could use it on, and I end up pulling out a sticker that I do not use for that purpose, which you'll see me pull it out now. I do end up using it later on, so I do kind of leave it on the end, on the edge here of my desk. So I do cut out from this pinkish paper. I do cut out my a little tab there. And I will be looking for my stamp sets, and I end up using a stamp set, which you'll be seeing shortly, by the Stamps of Life. Stephanie Bernhardt, I think is her name. I've had that for years. At one point I used to receive her monthly stamp. It was kind of like a monthly stamp club, and although I barely ever use them, but this one's called All for Stars, and you can see it there on the right hand side. It has stars and it has a few sentiments on it. So I picked one that said star and it has an exclamation mark, and then I realized I didn't have a stamp block near me. I have a couple areas that I keep my scrapbooking stuff. I have my desk with 10 drawers, 5 on each side. Well, let me just tell you real quick what I'm doing. I pulled out my my Misty, and I love using my Misty. I'm not a great stamper, so sometimes I have to re-stamp things just to make sure that, to get it to look right. So the Misty is the perfect tool for that. If you've ever thought of stamping and you're afraid to because you don't think it's going to come out right, invest in one of these stamping platform thingies. I know there's a few different companies that make them. I've had this one for a few years now. As you can see, it's been loved. I did use some Ranger Archival ink, and see, I had to stamp it a few times, but it came out perfect. And, just a quick plug on that they have them in different sizes. So if you want to use it for a layout, or like you want to stamp on your layouts, they do have 12 by 12 size. When I bought mine, they didn't have a 12 by 12, or I would have probably bought the 12 by 12. So here is one of the stars, and it's just like the outline of the star. And I thought that was perfect because it wouldn't make it too heavy. And I do want to use black because now I've stamped the star with the black. Plus I also want to use black. I want to do black splatters on my page. So I'm going to stamp this right down in the corner so it kind of pops out from behind. And I'm going to use my Ranger archival ink, which you can definitely buy at Michael's or any of the craft stores using a coupon, and you can probably get it for like $4. So I don't care that I didn't stamp it all the way because as you can see, you can't even tell. So I thought that this little unicorn had adhesive on the back. It may have adhesive in the back. I just couldn't get the paper to come up, so I'm just adding some adhesive to it, and I am going to plop them down right there. So now I'm using the next size of the stamp, and I'm going to just stamp them a few times in different spots. And usually I try to do 3 because, I usually try to do 3 because I feel like it's the triangle and it'll keep your vision flowing with, you know, what you're looking at, and it'll direct your vision or your eyes to what you want to show. But for this layout, I do end up doing 4 embellishment clusters. So as you can see, I'm just moving everything over so I could stamp. And I will again adhere my little unicorn and my little camera and my star file folder, and I moved the unicorn up a little bit. And now I'm going to adhere my camera. So there are a couple more stars that I end up using. I use one that's a little bit smaller. And I am really happy how the stars ended up turning out, because I think that it gave the page a little more interest, and it broke up a lot of the patterns and the colors. So it looks like I'm getting to the end of my page. I am going to do some page splatters. I do end up using the Princess title, which is a thickers, and it's also holographic. What I did with the heavy gesso is I put it on my block, I add a little water, and then I just flick it onto my page. And it's very thick gesso, so you have to water it down a bit. To complete my layout, I do end up using some sequins, and basically that's the end of my layout. I hope that you enjoyed it, and if you stick to the end of the video, you'll see close-ups of my layout, as well as links to other videos that you might be interested in. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the other side.